Hey guys, welcome back to Inspired Gaming, and today we're going to be going over Warlock, the Zero Dust Dex theory. So all we're going to be using in this series is basic cards. This is, as soon as you start playing, the day you create a Hearthstone account, you get your Warlock to level 10. You can do this in the adventure play mode, and we're going to talk about a deck that you can use to start winning in ranked and try to get yourself to level 20 so you can get that fancy card back each week. And so that's what this series is developed for. So Sheng, a professional Hearthstone player, has developed a Zero Dust deck for every single class. And when I started playing, this is what I used to get my account better, to build my account each week, to finish off quests and get gold. And so I actually started getting some of these better cards and could start playing more meta decks. And so you'll see in this deck, we're only using the cards that you're basically given at the start of the game once you get any hero to 10. And this week we'll be looking at Gul'dan. So this is the mana curve for the deck, and we're going to go over the deck in a little bit. So what we have here is the Elven Archer can deal 1 damage. You don't want to play this onto an empty board. That's not what this card is actually for. So this wouldn't be a turn 1 card. If you had this card in your hand and you couldn't use 1 mana for any other card, you still really wouldn't want to play this on the board just to do 1 damage to your opponent's face. Mortal Coil is very powerful in that it can clear a minion off of the board. If it kills that minion, it draws a card. So one of Warlock's big things is that it has card draw. It tries to keep card advantage, and with card advantage, you have something called more options, because you have more cards that you can answer the question that your opponent is asking. Can you kill this 3/2 minion? Well, you know what? If we had Ogre Magi on the board and we used Mortal Coil, we wouldn't only kill that 3/2 minion. We would actually get to draw a card as well. Okay, because the Mortal Coil would now do 2 damage from the Ogre Magi, and then if it kills it, it draws a card, and it would now kill the 2 health minion. Soulfire is another one of these cards that's really great to protect the board that we've established. Okay, so it deals 4 damage for just 1 mana, so we can get a lot of value out of it. Kill a 4 mana card and potentially discard a card that costs less mana. But remember, you are going to discard a card when you play this card, so it's best if you can play it when you have an empty hand. But if you need it to clear the board, then, you know, or to stop that really big minion, this is also powerful as well. Acidic Swamp Ooze, because it's a 3/2 minion, it's a really good 2-drop that can trade up into a 3-drop sometimes and gain value. And this one also has the battle cry option of destroy your opponent's weapon. So this is going to be really powerful against hunters, warriors, rogues, shamans, and paladins to an extent. The Bloodfin Raptor essentially does the same thing without the battle cry. The Ironfur Grizzlies are really good 3/3 for 3 mana with taunt that you can kind of protect some of your smaller minions with. Shadow Bolt is Soulfire, except that it can't do the 4 damage to face. Now, it's important to point out that the Soulfire can do 4 damage anywhere. The Shadow Bolt can do 4 damage to a minion. So while it does cost 3 mana, it can kind of swing the board in your favor, especially later on in the game. The Shadow Bolt's not as powerful of a card to play on turn 3 because you're not going to really establish board presence. Okay, but later on, when you can play Shadow Bolt and a minion, and you take their minion off the board and you put a minion on the board too, it's very nice. Shattered Sun Cleric can help kind of gain that tempo swing. You know, if they have a 2 damage minion on the board and you have a Bloodfin Raptor down, okay, and then you buff the Bloodfin Raptor to a 4/3 with a Shattered Sun Cleric, and then you're able to kill their 2-attack minion with it, then that gives you you know, board control and a lot of advantage. You're the aggressor, which you want to be. Chillwind Yeti, best basic set 4-drop out of the game. Now, Hellfire is a very unique board clear in that you're going to do damage to yourself, to your opponent's face, and then to all the minions on the board. Okay, so when it says all characters, you are going to do 3 damage to yourself. So if all you have is 3 life left, you do not want to use Hellfire unless, you know, I guess your opponent has 3 life left as well. I don't actually know this what happens in the scenario that you kill each other at the same time. I would think it would go to the person that did the killing, but I'm not completely positive. Okay, this will be buffed 1 spell damage, so you would do 4 damage to all characters. So if you are going to use something like Hellfire, and it does seem a little counterintuitive at first when you're starting off, but this can gain you the board back. If you have 1 minion and they have 3 minions on the board, you attack with your 1 minion. Don't forget to use your attack. You know, don't forget to use your minion before you kill it, because that's your power. You get to attack first. Okay, and then you wipe the board, okay, with a 4-drop, and say, you know, it's turn 6, you play Hellfire, the whole board's clear. Now your opponent doesn't have 3 minions, and you get to populate the board first with a Bloodfin Raptor. Okay, and so now after that, they're going to get a chance to if they've kept cards, they're going to repopulate the board. Sinjin Shieldmaster for taunt. The Dark Scale Healer works really well in that if you have a lot of minions on the board and you are the aggressor and you can attack and clear your opponent's minions in the most favorable way for your minions' health, and then you can throw the Dark Scale Healer on the board, you would attack with all your minions that are going to survive first, put the Dark Scale Healer down, heal them back up, and now you've got a really good board and you trade it in a way that you wanted to. Now the Gurubashi Berserker is the way that this deck really has a little bit of power in it, in that there's several ways to trigger the Gurubashi Berserker. You can either use your Elven Archer to ping one guy down and then use Mortal Coil between it. So if your opponent had a Bloodfin Raptor, you could Elven Archer and then Mortal Coil, and you would draw a card and get rid of their Bloodfin Raptor. Obviously, it's very important to first Elven Archer, then Mortal Coil when the Mortal Coil would kill the minion. All right? Or you can Elven Archer the Gurubashi Berserker. You could Mortal Coil the Gurubashi Berserker. Remember, I mean, you won't draw a card for it, but if it was the 3 health that you needed to win, this isn't a bad idea. You could Hellfire right after you put down the Gurubashi Berserker, okay? And so you're trading 3 life, essentially, for 3 attack. This isn't like the other Berserker minion. If I Hellfire, then the Gurubashi Berserker is going to be a 5/4, and then if I shot it with Elven Archer, okay, it would be an 8/3. Okay, so you'd have an 8/3 Gurubashi Berserker. So every time you put damage on this character, it ends up getting 3 more attack. You can also play Gurubashi Berserker on turn 5, okay, which would be kind of a good mana use by you if you had a Dread Infernal on turn 6 to play, and then you're going to buff the Gurubashi Berserker to a 5/6, okay, and then you'll also have a 6/6 on the board. Okay, and then Battle Fist Ogre, just because it's a really great 6-drop. It got 6 and 7 for stats. It'll trade into a card like Dread Infernal if you were to play it afterwards. Okay, and it's under the Big Game Hunter, which isn't as actually played as much anymore. So you would be able to use these decks to get to rank 20 each week, and that's how we're going to play them. Okay, so what I want to do now is jump into some ranked games, and we'll take a look at exactly how the synergies that I just talked about worked with this deck. Okay, let's go into the ranked game. So we'll see what we get here, okay? And so Warlock's hero power is very unique in that you trade a little bit of your health for card advantage, essentially. So you can be a little bit more careless with card advantage. And card advantage is one of the most important things that you want to think about in Hearthstone. So what we're going to be mulliganing hard for is Soulfire. We could keep that right now. Mortal Coil, Acidic Swamp Ooze, your Bloodfin Raptor, okay, your Ironfur Grizzly, Shattered Sun Cleric, Ironfur more than Shattered Sun. Remember, with Shattered Sun, you want something on the board first. You want to have some board so that you can use the Shattered Sun Cleric's Battle Cry to buff what you have on the board. Okay, or the Chillwind Yeti, the Sinjin Shieldmaster, or the Ogre Magi. Now, I don't have any minions to play on the board on turn 1, so I can just pass my turn here. You wouldn't want to Soulfire his face. This card is much more powerful to be used to Soulfire his face at the end if it's going to win you the game, okay? Or Soulfire a minion to allow you to keep board control. Now we still don't have anything that we can play, and you can see the hero power for Warlock is called Life Tap. So what you're going to have to be very careful with Warlock is how you end up trading your life for board advantage, for card advantage, which you can do a lot of the time. Okay, so Hellfire kind of trades it for, you know, some board advantage. And what we've got now is Shattered Sun Cleric for turn 3. Now, if you don't have any of the board, sometimes you just have to play Shattered Sun Cleric to potentially gain that. Okay, and so now I don't have to play Shattered Sun Cleric. I can actually play the Ironfur Grizzly. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and yeah, that's going to cause him to have to trade this guy into the Ironfur Grizzly. So he actually gets a little bit of value out of this, in that he's going to trade a 2 mana minion for a 3 mana minion. So he's already kind of gotten ahead on me. And so this is where Hellfire can be particularly good. He's got the board. He's got 2 mana minion, a 2 mana minion, and then this was 1. So I play 4 for 5 mana. But I've got more cards than him in my hand. Okay, and so when I play this, he still gets the advantage in that he gets to put minions down on the board next turn. I could have maybe waited a turn to do that. But remember, I have Soulfire, so I have the potential of playing Soulfire to kill whichever minion he puts down. And then playing my Sinjin Shieldmaster, or I could have played my Boulder Fist Ogre, or I could play my Boulder Fist Ogre first if this was a 5 health minion. So what I want to do is play one of my 4-drops first, okay? Because I could potentially lose this, because Soulfire is going to discard a random card, okay? And then I want to shoot this. So now I would have lost my Ogre Magi. So remember, if I needed that 5 damage, I've got to put the Ogre Magi down first. It's unlikely that you would make that play, but say we don't have the Ogre Magi in our hand, okay, then the Shinjin Shieldmaster is the 4-drop we want to play after we cast Soulfire. You would want to play that 4-drop first, because the Soulfire could potentially discard the Sinjin Shieldmaster, okay? So now what we can do is we can't really attack that guy straight up unless we were to Shattered Sun Cleric him. So what we'll do is we'll just put this Boulder Fist Ogre down on the board first and attack his face. And so that's either he's going to have to clear this, or we get to kill his Prince Malchezaar free. Which he's probably going to attack and clear the taunt, it would be my guess. I could have Shattered Sun Cleric'd it and then not attacked him and just attacked face. Which would have been a way to keep the Sinjin Shieldmaster up. But a lot of times when you don't attack, you lose some progress that you could have made the next round. So if I attack either one of these guys, I'm gonna kind of lose my Boulder Fist Ogre the next time. So what I'm going to try to do is, if I do 5, then I've got 2 left, and so it's 4. If I do 4, I've got 3 left, and then this only makes 5. I can't play the Shattered Sun Cleric and the... actually, I'm going to... So what's going to happen is I'm either going to play this Darkscale Healer, or I'm going to play the Shattered Sun Cleric. So I'm going to have 2 mana left over regardless of what I do. So you want to see if you can draw into a better card. Okay, and so that is what ended up happening here for us. So I will put this down. This card can't outright kill the Sinjin Shieldmaster. So anytime you can play card draw, you always want to play your card draw. So we're going to kill the 5/3. This does kind of expose my Boulder Fist Ogre a little bit. But now this can't outright get past it and kill the Ogre. So he's either got to use Consecration, which will do 2 damage and then allow him to kill this, and that would leave it with 1. But we know if it leaves it with 1, I can Mortal Coil this and get some card draw. So remember, anytime you're going to draw a card, and especially with Warlock, you got to say, hey, I've got 7 mana this turn. I'm only going to play a 3 mana minion or a 5 mana minion. That has me with 2 mana left over. I'm definitely hero tapping. I like using my hero power this time. You want to use that hero power first, because that allows you to draw into an option. And so that was the very exact way that you want to do that. And I think a lot of people forget, like, oh, I will be tapping this time. I wish I would have tapped first, because, man, that card that I got, I would have really rather played that over my Darkscale Healer. Now, if he chooses not to attack in some way, or he doesn't consecrate, then I would have been able to play this Darkscale Healer and would have been able to keep my minion on the board. My minions on the board and healed them up. Okay, so now what we're going to do, and this is also an important point to make. If you have a card that you just top decked, you kind of don't want to use your first card. You want to use the top decked one to make him think that you're pulling the cards in your advantage, like not really in your favor type of thing. Oh man, I didn't think about Getaway Kodo. So maybe I should have shot this minion first, but I actually didn't have that card at the time. Okay, and so we've done Shattered Sun Cleric. Consecration could potentially mess us over again, but let's go ahead and buff this. And actually, I should have drawn the card first. It didn't matter because I have an Ogre. An Ogre is what I ended up getting. So top decking just means the card that you're drawing drew off the top of your deck, okay? And more so, once you've run out of cards, the card, it's called, what you're doing is called top decking. Your only options are the cards off the top of your deck. And so that's kind of why card advantage is important as well. Okay, so here's a great example of the correct way to use the Ogre Magi. All right, so what we want to do is put Ogre Magi down first. Okay, our Mortal Coil now becomes more powerful. We're going to Mortal Coil the Warlock. We then use the 2/2 instead of the 3/2 to take this guy down.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, we can tap and hope for a Soulfire. We don't want to use that Hellfire, and we can't anyway. The Paladin does have weapons. He hasn't used one yet, so I'm going to keep this in my hand. And what I want to do is actually
Push forward.
I'm going to go ahead and attack face, because what he could do is I'm going to attack this guy, because otherwise he could have gotten value on a Consecrate by first attacking the Ogre Magi with this. Yeah, he would have lost this guy, and then these guys would have been in range for Consecration, so he would have played his 4 mana and consecrated, and then what would have happened is he would have still had 5 mana to put something on the. So now he could consecrate. It would be kind of a wasted consecration, because he would be using a 4 mana board clear spell for a 4 mana minion, whereas he would have got a 3 mana and a 4 mana minion in the other direction. Okay, so what we can do here is I would lose this guy if I left it on the board as is. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually restore health. Okay, that's going to allow me to kill this Murloc. Okay, and then I'm actually going to just restore health again, and he can't use this one Silverhand Recruit to kill my Ogre Magi, and now we've got board position. And about the same card advantage. So now I have so I've kind of regained the board here, although I'm very low on health. What's going to happen is, if I can continue to regain the board, then eventually I will be doing health attacks to his face each time. I mean, attacks to his face each time. Okay? So it's actually kind of good that he did this. I just end up clearing his board, and then what we want to do now, put down our big minions. He doesn't get as much value. All he could really have is a Consecrate. There is a way that he changes all of their health to 1. I think he would have done that last time, and then you Consecrate after it. which would have been a way for him to win. So now each time he plays the hero power, I can just kill these guys for 1, do all this damage to face. So this is why you don't attack face until you actually have kind of board control. And we'll play our Chillwind Yeti. And we're kind of stopped there because next time we could play Gurubashi Berserker. We're not going to tap because that could bring us into some type of kill range, although I don't think he has that. But you never know what these guys are carrying. I mean, something with Brand Bronzebeard right now. Okay, so he's going to be able to heal himself up, so I'm not going to be in kill range anymore. And we want to be able to clear this guy's board. So that we can get the advantage back. See, and so with bigger and better decks and people that are using cards from the current meta or from adventures they bought, they're going to be able to... that was kind of a mistake on his part. He actually wanted to use that next time because it doesn't outright kill my Boulder Fist Ogre, even if that's what I was going to use to kill him. Okay, so he's wasted his Blessing of Might card that gave the guy +3 attack there. Because this actually, I'm going to trade 1 mana for that 1 mana card and a 3 mana card that has one of the better writing descriptions in the game. All right, and then I'm going to be able to just trade this off the board. That does put me at 4-1, which isn't that desirable, but then we're just going to be able to go face again. And yeah, so we kind of ended up getting the leg on him, which was, you know, we just waited and bided your time and traded minions until we got board control. And yes, that game looked a lot like, oh man, he has almost no health. I mean, I think I was down to 9 health. And you just keep playing and just keep trading for value where, you know, like, okay, I've got a Boulder Fist Ogre that ends up, you know, taking 2 of his cards. I used a 1 mana Soulfire to take Brand Bronzebeard with a Blessing of Might buff on it. And then once you've established good board control and you're the aggressor, you get to pick which minions attack what. So in that last option, he had the little knight that heals him on the board, and he could have used that to kill a minion that only had 3 attack and taken it off the board, whereas I used, or he could have used it to kill the Ogre Magi, which was on the board, which would have killed his, but taken my +1 spell damage away. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of the Ogre Magi. We're going to hope we're going to pick up a 2-drop by keeping the Shattered Sun Cleric. You could throw the Shattered Sun Cleric back. And so he could have used that knight to kill my plus spell damage, which is more powerful for him, but instead I got to choose to use the Chillwind Yeti to kill his knight that does the healing, and since the Chillwind Yeti has 5 health, I then leave that minion on the board and he has to either use a Consecrate or a 1 damage spell to kill it. So that's the power of being the aggressor on the board. You get to make favorable trades, which will gain you tempo. You're using your mana to the best of your ability. So you're using up the mana each time. And so that's how Warlock can kind of help you keep tempo. If you do use a lot of cards and you start to have excess mana, then you can just tap again and potentially get a card you can draw into. Now, I want to get some board control here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Acidic Swamp Ooze because the mage doesn't really have weapons. Now, she is probably going to kill it because all she has to do is cast a spell, and then this guy is going to deal 1 damage to all minions. So she's either going to kill it in itself, or she's going to ping this and do a spell next time, or just crash it into it. Yeah, so now she gets to keep the board. But she traded 2 kind of for 2 damage. So what I'm going to do is now the power of that, what she did right there is now I'm not going to play as good of tempo because I'm going to put down a 2 mana minion when I have 3 mana to spend. So I'm not using my mana as well. But this was kind of my only option. because I could use this later on to buff another minion if I wanted to play, you know, right at what tempo was. This spell ends up kind of being wasted on me. And so what I can do here is I can play Ogre Magi. She's got to attack and then ping it. So I'm just trying to gain that board control, gain card advantage. Because you want to think about it, like, card advantage is really important. If your opponent has 5 cards and you have 6 cards, you have card advantage, but it's not that big of a deal. But if you trade 1-to-1, card for card, if I traded this and then he pinged or whatever, and so that's 1 card for 1 card, eventually you'll be at, you know, 1 card to 2 cards, which is actually really powerful. Okay, so what we can do here is we can save a little health by attacking this. See what the secret is? If this isn't counterspell, then actually I think we end up getting the board here. The deadly poison works out really great. Okay, and then what I can do here is I can test this. This is my best minion to test for Mirror Entity. So we'll just buff the 4-2 to 5-3. Now, had that been Mirror Entity, all he would have got is a Shattered Sun Cleric. What I didn't want to give him was a Darkscale Healer, or especially not a Boulder Fist Ogre. So you have to test these secrets. This is probably gain 8 armor. So we'll find out in a second if that's what it is. And she's at 5, so she could potentially use Blizzard next time. So I just need to be careful what I play here. Now, if it's Vaporize, that would have been bad. Okay, it's not Vaporize or the gain. The question here is, do I want to play Darkscale Healer? It doesn't really go down to... Not really killed by Blizzard. And this becomes 5. So if once she does get to 7, so you have to be very conscientious of what level all the board clears are at. And so she has Blizzard at 6, which does 2 damage to all minions. Okay, so now I want to make sure that I remove this from the board, because every time she casts a spell. So we'll do this. So this guy will be low. I am building up quite a bit of a board against the mage, so that is kind of dangerous. But what I want to do is, in case she has Flame Strike next time, I kind of want to keep all my people. The only problem with playing like Darkscale Healer here is, like, these two will survive a Flame Strike. So Flame Strike is on turn 7. It does it to the whole board. But what I may want to do here is just tap. See what I get? Okay, so I've got some minions that I can put down on the board. And now this protects her from a Flame Strike. Is just what I was... And now I would only lose this minion. So a Flame Strike would still be very good, but I'm still going to get a turn of attacking a lot of her face, and then she's got to use an Arcane Explosion the next turn, something, to kill, which will be 3 1-health minions. She didn't have any minions to give +2/+2 there. The problem with using the Dread Infernal here is I bring these guys within range to kind of be killed by Flame Strike. But the same thing would happen if I just attacked these outright. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all of this into these guys are gonna be in Flame Strike range, but this guy's a 6/6. So he won't be Flame Striked down. She would have to have another 2 damage thing to play. This is ice. This is pretty much ice block. So you'll see all of those get killed now. Okay. So what we're gonna do is test if this is ice block. There it is. Okay. So I need to find a way to do 2 more damage to her. We have Hellfire next turn. Remember, it does it. It takes 3 damage from me and 3 damage from her. All right. And so we'll put the Chillwind Yeti down, and we will tap. Okay. So we'll see. what's available. I'm not going to play this. She's immune right now, so it won't bring her to 1. I could have played this, brought her to 1, and then attacked face. So all I had to do was 1 damage to her face. She could have another ice block. I did not see the Reno Jackson there. Okay, and so now what we want to do is just kind of clear Reno Jackson and then start chipping away at her face again. Okay, and we can use Shattered Sun Cleric to... We're not going to buff this because if she has another Flame Strike, so again, we should have tapped first there because then that would have been 1 extra damage to face, which could have been, could be what would win us the game. Now, what I'm going to try to do is stop this from being able to just do damage to face. Okay? I'm going to keep putting taunts up in front of this guy in hopes that, you know, he doesn't deal 8 damage to all minions. And I'm not going to put minions down right now because I want to make sure... I could have drawn a card there, but Mage can put out a lot of damage in a... So what we want him to do is not have a way to deal 2 damage to this, and then just kill this with Anomalous, and then I'll put another an Iron Fur Grizzly down to try to stop the Anomalous. Okay, so he's gonna be able to get to do damage to face. Okay, and so that puts him at 1, which kind of isn't that good because he wanted to use this actually to clear my board and then gain advantage for himself. But what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to end up clearing his board. And then now I'm going to be able to take the board advantage. And I'm going to put these 2 down. This would die to Flame Strike. This isn't that Flame Strikeable of a board though. But that was a really nice card, and that was the way to handle it. We wanted him to crash it into the taunt. He probably should have gone face there. Okay, so he's chipping this guy down, maybe to try to get him into Flame Striker. This guy ignores Flame Strike range. I'm going to tap. I'm going to put that guy down because he ignores Flame Strike range, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I mean, if he Flame Strikes, this is a 3-1. He would clear this, and he was hoping to kind of go past me. The way to kill this guy is to just do face damage. So I don't want him getting random minions. Okay, and then we just do damage to this guy. I could Hellfire, which would kill him and leave my Ogre up, and then I could put another Ogre down. But it kills my bear. This is kind of the double-edged sword of Hellfire. And I'm just really cautious about drawing more cards. We don't have a ton of cards in the deck. I have some answers. I think maybe it would have been better for me to put the Boulder Fist Ogre down. I'm just really worried about the second Flame Strike. But at some point, maybe I need to stop playing around it. So these 2 have the potential of killing this guy, no matter how he plays it. I just attack 3 to face, and then this guy will die. And I can attack this, and this leaves me with a 6. I don't have to take damage from this. So here's the 3 to face. He goes down. Okay, and then I do 6 to this. And then I think the right play is the Boulder Fist, because this keeps everything up. And I am going to tap. And if he doesn't Flame Strike this, then we actually have a lot that we can put on the board to try to win.
I dream and the world.
Wow, he's got some really nice cards. So we need to go face pretty hard, pretty fast. Otherwise, Ysir is actually gonna draw the cards that he needs. But I think we actually win this turn. So watch this. Okay, we deal 1 damage to all other characters. We can even draw a card. Remember, you want to draw the card if you can. You can deal 1 damage to this girl. We go straight past the Ysira. And we get the win. And that's how to beat really nice decks. So this is the power of these Zero Dust decks. This pro thought up, you know, really well how to make these things, and you can actually use them to get to rank 20. This is the only decks that I use on this account, so there it is. I've gotten even higher than rank 20, so I'm guaranteed my card back and the golden common, and that's what you want to use this for. And so I hope this was really helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Remember, kind of the takeaway from Warlock is you're going to be doing damage to yourself via life tap and draw 2 cards and take damage. Hellfire, the Infernal, but we saw at the end, the Infernal allowed us to clear the board. It allowed us to secure the win. So doing the damage to yourself, you just have to be very conscientious of when you're doing it and not putting yourself within lethal range. So you have to be kind of conscientious of what can the other guy put on the board to do lethal to me, okay? But the power of life tap is it gives you can kind of get behind on card advantage. If you feel yourself playing too many cards, and at the end there, you saw me being extremely cautious to play cards. But remember, we always had life tap, so I could have always tapped into more options if I wanted to throw those 3/2s on the board that could have been susceptible to a second flame strike. And maybe I should have, and I would have won. I would have gotten lethal a little bit earlier. But your hero power is going to give you card advantage at the cost of life. And so you just have to be very mindful of how you use your life with this character. We didn't really get to go over the Gurubashi Berserker power, where you put that Gurubashi Berserker down and you have several ways to activate it, either by hellfiring your own minion, which gets it 3 more attack, shooting it with an Elven Archer, which gets it 3 more attack, and the least valuable play would be using, say, Mortal Coil on it, where you wouldn't get that extra card draw, but it would also get it 3 attack. If we needed 3 attack at the end there and the mirror image wasn't there, we could have shot it with Mortal Coil and gotten that 3 attack to cause lethal. So that's kind of ways to think of it. But remember, you've got that one Gurubashi Berserker card in your bag, and that kind of has its special, unique way of being used to get you more advantage on the board or clear off some really big minions. Say you had a Ragnaros on the board, and you were already at 5, let's say 6, then you could shoot it with Mortal Coil and effectively clear a Ragnaros for 6 mana because it would go up to 8 damage. You could hit it into the Ragnaros and trade for it, and that would be a really great value trade. So this is the power of Warlock. Be looking for the next installments of this Zero Dust deck series, and I hope this starts to get you the collection that you want to obtain in Hearthstone. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and/or comment, and be sure to check out all my content by following at twitch.tv/FollowSpire and subscribing to my YouTube channel, FollowSpire. I'm also on Twitter at FollowSpire. Until next time, this has been Inspired Gaming.